She fell, and the world chose not to stop. The impact was sharp, but cutting, the kind of sound that echoes more in the chest than in the ears. Emma was on the ground, her backpack tossed to the side, one hand pressing against the cold asphalt while the other trembled in the air, unsure of where to brace itself. Her left leg prosthesis was visibly misaligned, the mechanical knee twisted, her body weight thrown off balance. When she tried to get up on her own, she twisted her other foot and let out a short, restrained groan, more from embarrassment than pain. Sweat ran down her forehead, and Emma felt the heat rise to her face, humiliation pulsing through her veins. The cold ground felt like a constant reminder that, on those busy streets, she was not a priority. People walked by. A man slowed his pace, assessed the scene for a second, maybe less, and kept going. A woman frowned, murmured something like, "Oh no," and looked away. A car honked impatiently, annoyed by the invisible obstacle on the sidewalk. The girl felt her face burn. She tried to pull the prosthesis back into place, but the socket spun uselessly. A wrong click. A metallic sound that made it clear something was not right. Her eyes filled with tears, not because she was hurt, but because no one seemed to think it was urgent. No one, except a man standing on the other side of the street. He did not run. He did not shout. He did not make a scene. He simply stopped walking. The mechanic watched for a few seconds, long enough to understand it was not just a fall, that it was not carelessness, that the girl was trying to fix something on her own that she could not handle. He crossed the street, his work boots hitting the asphalt in a steady rhythm, unhurried, with a calm that contrasted with the chaos around them. He knelt at a respectful distance, as if it were an intimate moment, even in the middle of the crowd. He spoke softly, but firmly, with a gentle tone of empathy. "Hey, don't rush. Let's breathe first." Emma looked at him, surprised. There was no pity in his voice, just presence. Before touching the prosthesis, he asked if he could. Before lifting her body, he asked if it hurt. She nodded, swallowing back her tears. It was at that moment, while the world kept moving around them, that someone finally stopped. His gesture was simple, but it was enough to quiet the voices in her mind. Before Emma could respond, the mechanic carefully placed his hands on the prosthesis and adjusted it with skill. He had never seen that specific prosthesis before, but he knew the upper section needed to be aligned so it would not compromise how it worked. He moved at a calm pace, but with full attention, absorbing every detail. "You didn't fall because you weren't careful," he said, almost as if he were talking to himself. "Something here is off." She took a deep breath. "It's been making noise since yesterday," Emma confessed. "But I didn't want to complain." The mechanic nodded slowly. That said more than she realized. He knew that behavior, the need to hide weakness, the fear of bothering others. Carefully, he helped her sit more comfortably, supporting her back against a pole. His touch was not invasive, but reassuring. He knew how to make people feel safe, even without words. He gently moved her legs aside to check her twisted foot, feeling the pressure around her ankle. It was not broken, but sensitive. He pulled a clean cloth from his pocket and improvised a light support. "What's your name?" he asked, breaking the silence of the moment. "Emma." It was the first time she had said her name out loud since the fall. It sounded strange to her, vulnerable. I'm okay," she rushed to say, as if she were used to reassuring adults. He did not answer right away. He looked at her, his gaze steady and understanding at the same time. "I know," he said, "but okay doesn't mean alone." Emma looked around. The street went on as usual. Laughter, conversations, rushed footsteps, as if nothing had happened. But there she was, broken in some way, trying to piece herself back together. "My mom usually picks me up," she said, almost like an unsolicited explanation. "Usually," he repeated, attentive to the word, as if it carried more weight than it seemed. He tried to adjust the prosthesis right there, but the pins spun uselessly again. Frustrated, but not rushed, he said, "I'll need tools to fix this properly," he said at last. "There's a garage nearby, mine." She hesitated, glancing at the phone inside her backpack. The words got stuck in her throat. What was he saying? She knew he meant well, but the world was full of good intentions that never turned into action. "I can leave the door open," he added, noticing her silent fear. "You don't even have to step inside." Emma hesitated once more, but finally said, "Okay," she said in a thin voice. That was when she turned off the sound on her phone. Not out of rebellion, but because she did not want anyone to hear a scolding before she was safe. The garage was simple. Tools organized by habit, not by aesthetics. The smell of oil mixed with old coffee. The door to the house remained open, revealing only a narrow, quiet hallway. No steps beyond that. Emma felt the pressure ease a little as she settled into the chair, her legs still unsteady. The mechanic moved around her calmly. He seemed completely at ease, as if he were fixing something much bigger than just a prosthesis. As he adjusted the parts of the prosthesis with a wrench, he observed, "Your alignment shifted," he explained. "When that happens, your body tries to compensate. That's why you fell." Emma watched everything closely. He noticed, "You understand this?" "A little," she replied. "No one ever explains. They just fix it." He paused for a moment, unsure whether he should continue. She was young, but there was something about her that said she deserved to know more than just the basics. "You should know how your own body works," he said, now looking at her more intently. He continued working on the prosthesis, his movements careful and precise. Emma watched closely, her mind processing everything at lightning speed. "So, first day walking back alone?" he asked, trying to strike up a casual conversation. She smiled, but there was no joy in it. He noticed. "First and probably last, if my mom has a say." The mechanic paused for a moment, letting the metallic sound of the wrench echo through the quiet garage. He looked at Emma, noticing the unease in her eyes. "She doesn't let you go out alone?" he asked, now more attentive to the vulnerability she was trying to hide. "Not really. She worries. A lot," she answered, her voice trembling slightly. She was not just talking about her mother. She was talking about herself. She was talking about the limitations her life placed on her. He looked at her for a few more seconds before going back to work, his hands steady but gentle. "I love her," Emma said, breaking the silence with an almost suffocating confession. "But sometimes it feels like I'm smaller than I really am." The mechanic stopped, not knowing exactly how to respond. He knew what it was like to feel small, overlooked, invisible. He knew the weight of carrying something that was not visible, but still affected a person's life. He could not give her the independence she longed for, but there was something he could do. With a sigh, he adjusted Emma's prosthesis one more time. The piece was now set, working as it should. But he knew her confidence did not rest only in the mechanics of the prosthesis. She needed to understand how her own body worked, so she would not have to depend on others for everything. "When something feels off again," he said, without looking directly at her, "I'll teach you how to check it yourself. Small things, if you want." Emma lifted her eyes, surprised by the offer. He was offering more than technical help. He was offering autonomy. "Really?" she asked, a fragile hope lighting up in her chest. "Really?" He tested the prosthesis again. Firm. Aligned. It was perfect now. "Because I don't want you to feel incapable again." Emma's phone vibrated again inside her backpack, but she did not look. Emma's mother had tried calling several times, but Emma did not want to hear the scolding, the worries, the criticism. She did not want to be, once again, the girl who could not take care of herself. She bit her lip, gripping her backpack tightly, trying to stay calm. The mechanic noticed the tension in the girl, but said nothing. He let her decide on her own when she would answer. Across the city, Emma's mother was sitting at the kitchen table, trying not to look at her phone. She had called so many times that she was starting to truly worry. With every missed call, the panic grew. Emma was at a stage in life where she was beginning to seek independence, but for her mother, that process was agonizing. Without thinking, she stood up, grabbed her car keys, and rushed out the door. The sidewalk seemed to stretch longer than usual as she drove through the streets. Every corner felt more threatening. She slowed down at every bus stop, searching for any sign of her daughter. But as the minutes passed, the fear intensified, and she tightened her grip on the steering wheel. "I knew this was a mistake," she whispered to herself. "I knew it." Now, realizing how much she had underestimated the need to give Emma more freedom, she felt a new weight in her chest. But what could she do? She did not know, and the anxiety was uncontrollable. What if Emma was in danger? What if she had been hurt? In the garage, the mechanic continued his work, but now there was something deeper between him and Emma. He had become more than a simple repairman. He had become someone who, without knowing it, was showing her what it meant to be treated with dignity. The mechanic had never seen a child kept inside a glass box as much as Emma. Every word she spoke seemed to carry the weight of a lifetime of emotional overload. He helped Emma stand up carefully, watching her with the same calm expression. It was not just her body that was healing. He felt he was helping restore her confidence, which had always been overlooked. "It feels different," Emma said, surprised. She moved her foot, watching the firm fit of the prosthesis. "Because now it's aligned with you," he replied, his voice calm. He was doing more than just repairing. He was teaching. When Emma stood up and took a few careful steps, he followed her with his eyes, attentive, until he noticed the pain was gone. Now she was steady. "You understand now?" he asked, more as a confirmation than a question. "How to check it yourself?" She looked at him with a shy smile but more confident. "Yeah," she said. "I think I do." But the mechanic did not stop there. He pointed out the critical points of the prosthesis, patiently explaining how she could take care of it on her own in the future. He wanted Emma to know that independence does not come from the fear of making mistakes, but from the courage to try. When the mechanic and Emma arrived at her house, her mother's car was parked in front. The silence on the street felt too heavy for that moment. Emma hesitated before getting out of the car. Her mother stood at the door, eyes fixed on her daughter and on the simple man beside her. She froze for a second, as if she did not know what to do. "Where were you?" her mother asked, her voice trembling, but controlled. Emma looked at the mechanic. He simply nodded slightly, respecting the space between mother and daughter. "I fell," Emma said, her voice firm. "And no one stopped." He did. The shock was immediate. Her mother looked at the mechanic, and the gratitude she felt was palpable, but mixed with a pain that was hard to name. She did not know how to deal with it. "Thank you," her mother said sincerely. Her words carried something deeper, as if she were trying to understand how much that help meant to her daughter. But before she could continue, something else came out of her mouth, almost automatically. "This can't happen again. I'll drive you everywhere from now on." Emma felt something tighten in her chest, but before she could say anything, her mother interrupted her. "I can't lose you," her mother said, still without raising her voice. "Losing your father was already enough." There was a heavy silence between them. Emma took a deep breath, the way she had learned to do in the garage. "I love you," she said, "but I can't breathe like this." The words hung in the air, not like an accusation, but like a truth, something that needed to be said. The silence between mother and daughter was not empty, it was loaded. Her mother was still holding Emma by the shoulders, not tightly, but with a rigidity that revealed how much that embrace was also a silent plea. "Stay here. Don't go. Don't grow up so fast. I can't lose you," she repeated, now more softly, as if she were speaking to herself. Emma felt the weight of those words. She always had, since she was little. Every "be careful," every "wait for me," every "I'll do it for you" came wrapped in love, but also in fear. She took another deep breath, the way the mechanic had taught her. Slowly, through her nose, out through her mouth. "I know you're scared," she said, her voice firm but not aggressive. "I'm scared too sometimes." Her mother blinked, surprised. "Then, why would you want to be alone out there?" she asked. "Why would you take that risk?" Emma took a moment to answer. Not because she did not know, but because she had never put it into words before. "Because if I don't try," she said at last, "I'll never know what I can handle." The mechanic remained silent, leaning against the side of the gate, like someone who knows exactly how far he can go and where he needs to stop. Her mother brought a hand to her face. She was not crying yet, but her eyes were moist. "You don't see what I see," she said. "Every story, every headline, every possibility. And you don't see what I feel," Emma replied carefully. "Every time you don't trust me." That was not an attack. It was a revelation. Her mother stepped back, then another step, as if she needed space to breathe. "I spent years building walls," she said at last. "Money, doctors, schedules, drivers, everything so nothing could touch you. She looked at Emma's bandaged foot, and still, something did. The mechanic lifted his gaze at that moment. What touched her today wasn't the fall, he said calmly. It was being left there. The sentence did not sound like an accusation. It sounded like a statement. Her mother swallowed hard. How long was she on the ground? She asked. Emma answered before the mechanic could. Long enough to notice who didn't stop. That hit her mother harder than any shout could have. She closed her eyes for a few seconds. When she opened them, something had changed. Not completely, but enough. What happened after? She asked, now looking directly at her daughter. Emma told the story again, slower this time. The fall, the man who crossed the street, the garage, the open door, the explanations, the care in every gesture. As she spoke, her mother watched the mechanic, not as a stranger, but as someone who had seen her daughter from an angle she herself had never allowed. She understood everything, her mother said, almost incredulous. You explained it to her? The mechanic nodded. She asked to understand. There was another pause. Most people just tell her what to do, her mother murmured. I thought that was enough. It's safe, he replied. But it's not the same as strong. Emma felt something warm inside her chest. Not pride, something quieter, something steadier. I don't want to push you away, she said to her mother. I just don't want to disappear inside your fear. Her mother let out a short sob, a sound she had not meant to make. I don't know how to let go, she confessed. The mechanic spoke then, choosing each word carefully. You don't let go all at once, he said. You loosen your grip, little by little. Her mother nodded slowly. How much do I owe you? Her mother asked, almost by reflex. The mechanic shook his head. Nothing. That repair alone, she began. Clinics would have charged. I know, he interrupted gently. She stopped, looked at him closely for the first time. You didn't do this because you had to. No, he replied. I did it because I could. The silence returned, but now it was different. Not heavy, reflective. I don't want to pay you back, she said then. I want to invest. I saw that you have a talent. I'm good at this. I have this house for a reason. I want to invest in you if you want. Money is no problem. Just tell me if you're interested. The mechanic was surprised. He had learned to work with prosthetics for personal reasons in the past. Someone very important to him had needed it deeply. But she was gone. Thinking about it now, it was strange. She even looked a bit like Emma. Now he could help more people with this opportunity. He gave Emma's mother his phone number and said he would call later. The mechanic looked at Emma. She smiled. A calm smile. Secure. He's already teaching me, she said. Not just fixing things. He took a deep breath. I'll accept, he said to her mother. On one condition. She waited. That she keeps learning to do things on her own. Her mother hesitated, then nodded. Before leaving, the mechanic crouched in front of Emma. If something ever feels off again, he said, I'll show you how to check it. She nodded. Not like someone asking for help, but like someone receiving a tool. Months later, the garage was no longer just a garage. There were books stacked, notes on the walls, new tools alongside the old ones, a path being built by hand. Emma walked on her own a few times a week. Not always, not without care, but with confidence. Her mother watched from the window. Her heart still tightened, but she no longer ran to the door. She breathed. The mechanic adjusted a child's prosthesis, explaining every step with patience. Fair prices, open doors, attentive eyes. The change was not fast, but it was real. Because, in the end, everyone there learned the same thing. True kindness isn't about holding on tighter. It's about knowing when to let go. If this story touched your heart, I'd be grateful if you like and subscribe. You will receive daily stories that remind us what kindness really means.